What if silence wasn't the punishment you thought, but a mirror showing you who she truly was? You think no contact will break her down. But the truth? She's already rehearsed your absence, and you didn't even know it. This isn't about getting her back. It's about becoming the man she can never reach again, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. Full rewrite of page 1. Cutting her off isn't the punishment you think it is. You've been told that silence is power, that if you just stop texting, calling, or reacting, she'll fall apart, that she'll sit with the weight of your absence, staring at her phone, missing the version of you that gave everything. But what if I told you that's not how this works? See, most women, especially the ones who hurt you, expect silence. They've seen it before. They've even prepared for it. They know the routine. Affection fades, conflict brews, then comes the no-contact phase. They're not surprised. Some even count on it, because it allows them to spin the narrative. He ghosted me. He gave up. I tried. So when you go no contact, it might give you space, but it doesn't automatically give her regret. Why? Because no contact doesn't destroy her ego. It doesn't flip the script. It doesn't trigger the guilt you're secretly hoping will keep her up at night. You're here because you were real. You didn't half love. You were all in, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. You gave her your time, your energy, your loyalty. And when she walked away, it didn't just leave you in silence. It left you questioning your worth. But let me be clear, that confusion, that aching question of was I not enough, that's not weakness. That's your awakening. This isn't about revenge. It's not about trying to make her feel what you felt. It's about becoming the man whose silence is not the absence of words, but the presence of power. It's about shifting the focus inward, where real change begins. We're not just doing no contact here, we're doing transformation. Today we're going deeper, rewiring your mindset, rebuilding your emotional frame, reawakening the force inside you, the version of you that even she wouldn't know how to approach anymore. If you're done being haunted by her memory, if you're ready to destroy the ego that tried to crush yours, hit that like button, subscribe, and comment below, I rise from rejection. Let's begin. Step 1. Burn the illusion. You're not grieving her. Let's stop pretending. You're grieving the idea of her, the version you built in your mind, the fantasy woman, the one who held your hand and said the right things, the one who told you she'd stay, that you were different, the one you thought would never walk away. But what did she really do? Did she disappear when things got hard? Did she breadcrumb you with fake affection while looking elsewhere? Did she play the victim while quietly running into another man's arms? That's not love. That's not vulnerability. That's not someone who saw your soul. It's someone who fed off it. Yet here you are, still reading old messages, still replaying moments where she smiled a little softer, held you a little longer, still hoping that the woman you imagined will come back and say, I made a mistake. But here's the truth. That woman never existed. She was built from your loyalty, your hope, your need to finally feel seen. And every time you look back with longing, you're not seeing her. You're seeing your own projection. That's the pedestal, and it needs to burn. Because as long as she's up there in your mind, untouchable and idealized, she has power. Not because she earned it, but because you gave it. And here's the brutal truth. If you keep seeing her as special, if you keep romanticizing what wasn't real, if you keep saying I lost someone amazing, she wins. She wins without saying a word. She wins while living her life. She wins while you sit in silence, trying to figure out what you did wrong. So here's your first move. Burn the fantasy. Shatter the illusion. Take her off the pedestal, for good. The woman who left didn't walk away from a man who was weak. She walked away from a man who was too strong for her to handle. The problem was never your value. The problem was her ability to recognize it. And when you finally accept that, something shifts. You stop grieving. You stop chasing. And you start rising. Previously, we shattered the illusion. Now it's time to reclaim your power. You burned the fantasy, stripped away the pedestal, and saw her for who she truly was. Not your soulmate, but your mirror. The version of her you worshipped, that was a mask built by your hope, not her actions. Now we go further, because the next step is where your transformation truly begins. 1. See her for who she was, not who you wanted her to be. A Stoic man doesn't live in delusion. He sees clearly. He doesn't hold on to dreams that hurt him. He faces reality head-on, without fear, without filters. You've got to release that image you've been clinging to. That fantasy isn't love, it's a prison. Every time you replay the good moments in your head, you're not remembering her. You're remembering your own projection of her. But now, it's time to strip off the rose-colored glasses. When you finally look at her through the lens of logic, not emotion, you'll see what you tried to ignore. You'll notice the small jabs she made at your confidence, the manipulation buried in compliments, the red flags you repainted as misunderstood. She wasn't your forever, she was your wake-up call. And the lesson? Stop loving potential. Stop romanticizing chaos. Start respecting yourself more than your attachments. Burn that fantasy down, because in the ashes something powerful rises. You don't walk away heartbroken, you walk away awakened. She didn't destroy you. She didn't betray you. She revealed something you had been avoiding. You lacked boundaries. That's not shame. That's wisdom. And now you use it. 2. Become unreachable, not just absent. No contact sounds good in theory. You block her, you mute her, you vanish. But here's the uncomfortable truth. Anyone can disappear. It doesn't take strength to ghost. It doesn't take power to go silent. That's the bare minimum. That's the default move most men use when they don't know what else to do. But becoming unreachable, that's different. That's mastery. Unreachable isn't just disappearing from her inbox. It's disappearing from her control. She doesn't just lose your presence. She loses your energy, your reactions, your curiosity, your need to be seen. Think of how many men post Instagram stories aimed at an ex. How many share cryptic quotes or pretend they're over her while secretly hoping she sees them glowing up. That's not power. That's performance. And if she can still make your heart race just by showing up in your notifications, guess what? She still has access. The Stoic man doesn't give access to someone who violated his peace. He reclaims that energy. He seals the gate. How? No emotional leaks. No digital breadcrumbs. No stories posted for her eyes. No messages dressed as self-love, but actually saying, I hope you see this. You're not here to send signals. You're here to go silent and stay so silent that she can't feel you anymore. Because here's the truth no one tells you. Women who are used to attention fear indifference. They crave reaction, even a negative one. A cold text, a vague quote, a look that says, I'm not over it. But when you give her nothing, not even curiosity, that's when the ego starts to collapse. She starts asking herself, why isn't he watching my story? Why hasn't he reached out? Why does it feel like he doesn't even care anymore? That's when the what-ifs creep in. That's when the balance shifts, not because you played games, but because you became untraceable. No clues, no tells, no leaks. You don't just block her physically, you become a black hole to her influence. No emotion, no obsession, no reaction. You become the question mark in her head, the mystery that keeps her up at night. And when she can't predict you, she starts to panic. 3. Master the void. Own the silence. Here's where most men fall short. They treat the silence like a punishment, like a waiting room, like something to endure until she reaches out, apologizes, or comes running back. But that mindset, that's not patience. That's powerlessness in disguise. You're not here to wait. You're here to transform. Silence isn't punishment. It's your battlefield, your training ground, and most importantly, your throne. The Stoic man doesn't fear the void. He doesn't check his phone 100 times. He doesn't scroll endlessly, hoping to distract the pain. He sits in it. He breathes in it. He rises in it. Why? Because the void is the only place where healing can begin. There's no noise, no chaos, no dopamine hits from texts or attention, just you and the mirror. And in that mirror you'll meet the man beneath the heartbreak, the man who still feels the wounds, the man who once needed her validation to feel worthy, the man who gave too much and asked too little. And then, when the silence is deep enough, you'll meet someone else too, the man who's healing, the man who's rising, the man who no longer needs her to feel whole. Because this space, this silence, it's not empty, it's sacred. This is where your mind resets, where your spirit reclaims itself, where her name stops echoing and your own voice returns. And that voice, it's not angry, It's not bitter. It's clear. Next step coming up. Now that you've stepped into the silence and found your strength, the next move is even deeper. We're going to show you how to detach completely, rebuild your internal frame, and shift from haunted to healed without ever having to chase closure again. Ready? Let's turn the page and keep rising. Let's pick up where we left off, deep inside the silence, where true power begins to take root. While she may be out there scrolling through distractions, chasing fleeting attention, or pretending she's unaffected by your absence, you've chosen a different path. You're not waiting, you're not hoping. You're building, quietly, relentlessly. Because the man who sits still with no validation, no affection, and no noise, yet remains unfazed, that's the man who becomes unstoppable. You're not using the silence to survive. You're using it to sharpen your edges, to master your discipline, to recalibrate your focus. This is no longer a void. It's a gym for the mind, a temple for the spirit, and a battlefield where weakness dies and strength is reborn. This is what mastering the void really means. You stop obsessing over her attention and start obsessing over your evolution. You no longer wonder if she'll notice. You wonder how far you can go before she even realizes she can't reach you anymore. You detach not just from her, but from the very idea that anyone else holds the key to your completeness. You start moving differently. You speak less. You observe more. You act with calm, silent intention. And then, one day, you'll walk into the world again. Same face, same name, but not the same man. And she'll feel it. Not from your text, not from your social media. She'll feel it from your absence, from the invisible wall of indifference that now surrounds you. From the way you're no longer looking for her in the silence. Because now the silence belongs to you. You own it. You built yourself in it. Number 4, the mirror effect. Let's get this straight. Explaining yourself, writing long texts, venting your heart, trying to make her get it, that's not power. That's pleading. That's giving her the script to your soul. And guess what? That script feeds her ego. Most men want closure. They want her to know how much she hurt them, but in doing so, they hand her control. You want to shake her world? Then say nothing. Let silence echo louder than words ever could. Let your absence do the speaking. Because here's the truth. When you stop chasing, when you stop justifying, when you reflect her actions back at her with chilling stillness, that's when the mirror shatters her illusion. No attention, no argument, no drama, just consequences. This is the mirror effect. You become the reflection she can't escape. She has to look directly at what she did. No edits, no excuses, no one to blame. You become the result of her choices, not out of bitterness, but out of self-respect. And that's a mirror few can face. She'll look for cracks in your calm. She'll search for the old you, the one who explained, the one who begged. But he's gone. He died in the silence. And in his place stands a man she no longer understands. Number 5. Withdraw all validation. Here's the raw truth. Ego is addicted to attention, and she fed hers with yours. Every like, every reaction, every story she posted knowing you'd see it, that was fuel. Even your anger was fuel. Even your sadness fed her sense of control. But now, you're cutting off the supply. Not with hatred, not with games, with indifference. You stop reacting. You stop validating. You stop watching. Because when you no longer feed her ego, it starts to starve. It starts to question itself. She'll wonder, why hasn't he checked my story? Why isn't he angry? Why doesn't he care? That's silence. It's not emptiness. It's withdrawal. And withdrawal sends a louder message than any text ever could. She doesn't hear your voice. She hears your absence. She doesn't feel your pain. She feels your peace. And that peace, it rattles her. Because she expected noise. She expected a reaction. She expected the version of you that once placed her above everything. But now she faces the man who chose himself. And that's what she never prepared for. Let's continue, because where ego once thrived, it's now starving. You see, her ego doesn't survive off love. It survives off something far more subtle. Attention. Crumbs of praise, reactions that hint you're still watching, a moment of jealousy. Any flicker that tells her, I still matter to him. That's why she might still linger after walking away. Maybe she drops a like on an old photo. Maybe she views your story late at night. Maybe she texts, just checking in. Don't be fooled. That's not love. It's not vulnerability. It's ego maintenance in disguise. She's not asking, "Do you still love me?" She's asking, "Do I still have control?" And right here, this is where most men fall. They take the bait. They respond with thirst traps. They post cryptic quotes or dramatic gym photos. They write long captions about moving on, hoping she'll see and suffer. But every move like that, it's not power, it's proof. Proof that she's still in your system. That you're still playing her game. And nothing feeds her ego more than knowing you still care enough to perform. You want to truly crush her ego? Kill the supply. Withdraw the validation. Not in rage, not with bitterness, but with absolute indifference. Because a Stoic man understands something most men don't. Attention is currency. And she's already overdrawn. Every like you leave. Every comment you make. Every time you check if she watched your story. It's a payment. And here's the deal, you don't owe her another dime. You don't owe her closure. You don't owe her a glow-up announcement. You don't owe her proof that you've changed. Your silence is the proof. Your success is the statement. Your peace is the message, and it doesn't need a caption. You don't post to provoke. You don't show off to sting. You simply evolve. Quietly, deliberately, unapologetically. Because when your growth isn't a show, it's a lifestyle, that's when the illusion breaks. She starts to realize she's not in the audience anymore. You're not performing for her attention. You've closed the theatre. No more tickets. No more reactions. No more reminders. You're too busy becoming the man she didn't believe you could be. And that's when her ego starts to fracture. Because the deepest kind of punishment isn't being yelled at. It's being forgotten. And when she finally sees it, that she's no longer the center of your universe, not even a name you speak out loud, that's when the silence hits her hardest. Number 6, transmute the pain into power. Now let's talk about the storm inside you, the pain, the ache, the betrayal, the confusion. That's not weakness, that's not a curse, that's raw material. And in front of you are two paths. One, let it rot you from the inside out, replaying old conversations, asking why me, drowning in resentment. Or two, melt it down, forge something unbreakable. Because this pain, this scar, is a forge. It's the fire that reveals what you're made of. A lot of men collapse in heartbreak. They sit in the ashes and wait for her to come back. But not you. A Stoic man doesn't ask why, he asks what now. And that's where transformation begins. You want to crush her ego? Let your evolution become the aftermath of her departure. Let your growth be the legacy of what she lost. Turn the heartbreak into obsession. Not with her, but with becoming the man you were born to be. You dive into your grind, you get up earlier, you hit the gym harder, you build with focus, fire, and solitude. She sparked it, but she doesn't get the credit. She gets the distance. You stop loving from lack. You start loving from choice. You don't need anyone to complete you. You choose with clarity, not craving. This is transmutation. This is alchemy of the soul. It's the process of turning suffering into strength. And when you master it, she doesn't see the same man anymore. She sees someone colder, sharper, more grounded. She sees a man with calm eyes and unstoppable energy. She sees someone she no longer has access to. And the worst part for her, she didn't mean to build him, but she did. Not by lifting him up, but by leaving him behind. Because the Stoic man took every insult, every lie, every silent treatment, and used it. He lifted heavier, moved smarter, cut distractions, chose peace over chaos, discipline over drama. And now, she doesn't just regret hurting you. She regrets underestimating you. This isn't just a glow-up, it's not a trend, it's elemental. You've become a force of nature, unshakable, grounded, focused, calm. And she can't reach you anymore. Not because you're hiding, but because you've risen to a level she simply no longer fits. Let's go deeper, because silence isn't just power, it's transformation. Number 7. Become the man she can't replace. Here's the cold, unfiltered truth most men never want to admit. Most breakups don't hit her right away. She walks out calm, confident, convinced that there's better waiting just around the corner. In her mind, you're just another name, another memory, another chapter easily closed. She thinks she can replace you like changing clothes, quick, effortless, emotionless. But this is where you flip the script, not with words, not with desperate messages, not with posts meant to sting. You move differently. You move with purpose. You move with transformation. If you want to truly crush her ego, you don't become bitter. You become irreplaceable. Not by flaunting money, not by chasing superficial status. That's weak energy, desperate energy. No, you become so rooted, so powerful, so locked into your divine purpose that your very presence becomes unforgettable. You become the kind of man she might meet once in her life, if she's lucky. You don't have to talk big. You don't need to convince anyone. You radiate it. Respect follows you into every room without a single word spoken. Discipline becomes your armor. Peace becomes your sword. You stop folding. You stop flinching. You stop explaining. Think about it. How many men has she met who are unshaken by drama, who don't chase attention like it's oxygen, who don't need validation to feel worthy? Very few. And that's your edge. While she's cycling through temporary thrills and recycled charm, you're becoming something rare, something she cannot touch again. Not out of spite, but out of evolution. This isn't about revenge. This isn't about trying to win her back. This is about becoming the man you were meant to be before she ever arrived. She thought she broke you. She thought she could walk away and forget. But now, when she scrolls and your name appears, when she hears from others how far you've come, it hits her. She didn't just lose a boyfriend. She lost a once-in-a-lifetime presence. And what do? You don't gloat. You don't post thirst traps hoping she'll see. You don't send signals through stories. You simply live. Fully. Freely. So completely aligned with your higher self that your absence becomes heavier than your presence ever was. Number 8. Build a new identity in shadow. You don't evolve in the spotlight. You evolve in the shadows. The world doesn't need to see you grind. She doesn't need to see it either. Because true transformation, it's quiet. It's relentless. It happens in those long nights with no applause, no recognition, no one watching. Just you, your pain and your purpose. You want to crush her ego? Stop needing to be seen. Start becoming someone worth missing, someone worth remembering not because you performed for her, but because you outgrew everything she ever knew. This is where most men fall short. They want her to feel regret in real time. They want her to scroll and suffer, to see the gym pics, the business wins, the glow-up. But let's be clear, that's not power. That's performance. And performance is weakness in disguise. A stoic man, he doesn't broadcast his rebuilding. He doesn't need to. He trains while others sleep. He learns while others scroll. He evolves in a silence so loud that when his name finally comes up again, it doesn't even sound like the man she left behind. Because it isn't. It's someone entirely different, someone reborn in solitude, someone sharpened in silence, someone who no longer fits inside the frame of the past. She doesn't even recognize what you've become. And that's exactly the point. Keep building. Keep rising. And remember, this isn't about revenge. It's about resurrection. Number 9. Let her watch from afar. A stoic man doesn't rebuild to prove something. He rebuilds because there's nothing left worth proving. He doesn't crave revenge, he craves rebirth. That's why he strips away every distraction, the late-night scrolling, the reactive texts, the emotional spirals. He builds a new system for living. Disciplined sleep, clean eating, laser focus. A vision so powerful, it no longer includes anything or anyone that drained him. And the best part? He does it all in silence. Because when your identity is no longer attached to who you're trying to impress, but grounded in who you've chosen to become, you become unshakable. You don't chase applause. You don't seek validation. And here's the irony. The moment you stop needing to be seen, that's when they start noticing. She'll feel the shift, not from a selfie or a status, but from the stillness you now carry, from the way your name comes up in conversations, from the glow that can only be born through solitude and transformation. She won't recognize you. And that's exactly the point. This isn't a comeback story to win her back. It's a rebirth story where she's not invited to the next chapter. So what do you do now? You let her watch. From a distance she can't cross. From a life she no longer fits. No need to block. No need to hide. No need to play games. You simply live. And that's where the real sting begins. She thought she could walk away and you'd crumble. But now she's watching you rise. And every glimpse she catches is a reminder of what she gave up. Understand this. People always want what they can no longer control. When you were accessible, she took your loyalty for granted. Your presence became background noise. But now, Now she has to witness everything you're becoming and realize she no longer belongs in that reality. That's not bitterness. That's not ego. That's balance restoring itself. And you don't give her the satisfaction of knowing you're watching her watch you. You stay unreachable, emotionally and mentally. No petty captions, no thirst traps, no cryptic quotes designed to bait her. Instead, you post with purpose, you share your wins, you let your life speak for itself, not to make her jealous, but to stay aligned with your mission. You no longer move from memory, you move from momentum, and yes, she will notice. Maybe not today, maybe not next week, but eventually her curiosity will catch up. And when she scrolls, when she hears about you, when she feels the change without a word from your lips, the silence will hit different. Because this time, you're not just gone, you've evolved, and she can see it, feel it, but no longer reach it. And you? You don't chase, you don't explain, you don't react, you stay in your lane, eyes forward, peace intact, while her ego unravels in your rearview mirror. That's not noise, that's power, that's how you win without saying a single word. Number 10. Forgive for power, not peace. Let's be clear. Forgiveness is not weakness. It's not you saying what she did didn't matter. It's not pretending the betrayal didn't cut deep. It's not sweeping the pain under a rug. Forgiveness in its rawest form is power. It's standing tall and declaring, you no longer have the power to affect me. And that's the final blow to her ego. Because the one thing a manipulative person can't handle is being genuinely irrelevant. They expect you to hate them, to talk about them, to seek revenge. But when you forgive, when you stop even thinking about them, that's the silence they can't handle. But here's the deeper truth. You don't forgive her for her. You forgive her for you. So you can drop the weight. So you can unclench your fists. So you can stop living with that constant static in your chest. Because as long as you hold on to that anger, that resentment, that endless loop of how could she, you're still tied to her. And guess what? That's exactly what her ego wants. For you to stay stuck, emotionally chained, mentally occupied. But a Stoic man, he breaks those chains. He doesn't forgive because it's easy. He forgives because it's freedom. Because no one deserves free rent in your head. Not after they showed you who they truly are. Forgiveness is not permission, it's not reconciliation, it's the final act of detachment. And in that moment, when you no longer need closure, when you no longer crave apologies, when you stop looking back, you win. Quietly, completely, permanently. Number 10 continued. Forgive without a sound, walk without a shadow. You don't forgive and then reach out. You don't forgive and go looking for closure. You forgive and then disappear, not out of coldness, but out of clarity. You walk away quietly, strongly, and without apology. She expected drama, she expected anger, she expected backlash and bitterness, a man who would hold a grudge maybe forever. But instead, you gave her grace, you gave her nothing. No anger to feed on, no ego to stroke, no chaos to manipulate, just silence. And in that silence, she hears the loudest truth of all. You're done. Not out of resentment, but because you've evolved. And that hits harder than any insult, any argument, any long-winded explanation ever could. It hits like a punch she never saw coming. Because she expected you to fold, to crawl back, to orbit her like every other man she's broken and baited. But instead you vanished, not to hide, but to rise. This is the full circle, the final frame. You're not bitter anymore, you're better. And she's not just gone from your life, she's gone from your head. That's the difference. That's true detachment. When you stop replaying old conversations, stop wondering if she ever cared. Stop needing her to regret, to explain, to see. You move on, not for revenge, not for applause, but because you finally remembered who you are. And no one gets to break you twice. That's not healing with wounds still open. That's transformation. That's evolution. That's Stoic discipline in motion. You made it to the end of this journey. And that says something. Because you didn't stay stuck. You didn't stay broken. You rose. You're not here to beg. You're not here to impress. You're here to become. This was never about her. It never really was. It was about you. The real you. The version of yourself that got buried under obsession, under overgiving, under emotional noise. Now, that noise is gone. The masks have fallen, and you've stepped back into your center. You once thought going no contact was enough. Now you know the truth, becoming untouchable. That's the real move. So let her scroll. So let her scroll. Let her wonder. Let her drown in the silence you now command like a king in his throne room. While she plays games, you play chess. While she seeks attention, you seek purpose. While she looks back, you look forward. This isn't about revenge. This is about never being that vulnerable again. This is about becoming the kind of man who doesn't need to be chosen, because he already chose himself. Welcome to your new era, an era built on silence, focus, unshakable self-respect. Carry it with discipline, move with intention, speak with action, not noise, and never again confuse access with value. You are not bitter, you are not broken, you are reborn. If you felt that if you're ready to keep rising, if you're ready to let the silence carry your story, hit that like button, subscribe to Stoic Blessing, turn on notifications and comment below. I rise with silence and power. And remember this final truth. She didn't lose you when she walked away. She lost you the moment you never looked back.